Someone finishes a sentence. They stop talking. They look at you. And you realize you didn't catch it. Not because the words were difficult. Not because the sentence was long. It was just fast, or quiet, or spoken in a way you weren't ready for. Your mind goes blank for a second. Your body reacts first. You feel that small tension in your chest. Your face freezes. You're trying to decide what to do. Do you ask them to repeat? Do you smile and nod? Do you pretend you understood? That pause feels much longer than it really is. And the longer it lasts, the more uncomfortable it feels. This moment is small, but it happens again and again. And most people never talk about it. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie.
This is Real Talk English.
A podcast about everyday English, the kind you actually need in real life.
A podcast about everyday English, the kind you actually need in real life.
What to say when you don't understand someone.
Not in a classroom way.
But in a calm, natural, real-life way. This moment happens to me more than I'd like to admit. And what surprises me is that it doesn't only happen in serious conversations. It happens in small ones too. Like when someone asks a quick question at work, or when a cashier says something quietly, or when a friend speaks fast because they're excited.
Those are exactly the moments people struggle with.
Yeah. And the confusing part is, sometimes I understand most of it. I hear the words, I recognize the sentence, but my brain is just a little bit behind.
That delay matters.
It really does, because while I'm trying to catch up, the conversation keeps moving, and I feel like I missed my chance to say something.
That feeling of, I'm too late now.
Yes, and once that thought enters my head, everything gets worse. Instead of listening, I start thinking about myself. I think, why should I understand this? I've studied English for years. Why is this still hard?
That self-talk creates pressure.
A lot of pressure. And then there's the politeness part. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to slow the other person down. So I tell myself, just smile. Just nod. Maybe it will be clearer later.
Many people do that.
But the problem is, sometimes it doesn't become clearer later. Sometimes I miss something important, a detail, a request, a decision. And then I have to fix it afterward.
Which is usually harder.
Much harder. It feels awkward to go back and say, actually, I didn't understand. So the stress doesn't disappear, it just moves to later.
That's a key point. Pretending to understand doesn't remove the discomfort, it delays it.
Exactly. And later, when I'm alone, I replay the moment in my head. I think about what I should have said, what I could have said.
That replay loop is very common.
It's tiring. And the worst part is, when the same situation happens again, my body remembers the stress. So the next time, I freeze even faster.
This moment feels difficult for several reasons, and most of them are not about vocabulary or grammar. The first reason is politeness pressure. In many cultures, interrupting someone feels rude. Stopping them feels like you're doing something wrong. So your brain is trying to protect you socially.
Even when I'm confused, my brain says, don't interrupt, just listen.
Exactly. Your brain is choosing politeness over clarity. The second reason is speed pressure. Real conversations don't pause. There's no wait button. So you feel like you need to react immediately, even when you're not ready.
That makes me panic a little.
Yes, because speed creates urgency, and urgency reduces understanding. The third reason is self-expectation. Many adult learners tell themselves, I should be better than this by now. So when they don't understand, they don't just feel confused, they feel disappointed in themselves.
That's true. It's not just I didn't understand, it's what's wrong with me?
And that question is heavy. Once your attention turns inward, you stop listening to the other person. So even if they repeat the sentence, you might miss it again.
I've done that. They repeat it and I still don't catch it.
Because your brain is busy judging itself. Another reason this moment feels hard is fear of being a burden. Many learners worry that asking someone to repeat is annoying. They think, I don't want to slow them down. I don't want to cause trouble.
Yes, I feel like I'm asking for something extra.
But in reality, most people don't mind repeating themselves, especially if you ask calmly. And finally, there is silence anxiety. Silence feels uncomfortable. It feels like something is wrong. So when there's a pause, your instinct is to fill it, even if you're not ready.
That silence feels louder than words.
It does. But here's the important part. None of these pressures mean you're bad at English. They mean you're human. Before we talk about specific phrases, there's one thing we need to say clearly.
This part really helped me when I realized it.
Native speakers don't understand everything. They miss words. They ask people to repeat. They misunderstand accents. The difference is not ability. The difference is permission. Permission is the key word here. Native speakers don't feel embarrassed when they don't understand. They don't apologize for existing. They don't explain themselves. They simply pause the conversation.
That feels very different from how I react.
Because learners often feel they need to justify their confusion. They say things like, "Sorry, my English isn't good. I'm still learning. I didn't study this." But none of that is necessary.
It feels like I'm asking for forgiveness.
Exactly. But misunderstanding is not a mistake. It's a normal part of communication. Every conversation has moments where people adjust, repeat, or rephrase. That's not failure. That's cooperation.
When you say it like that, it feels lighter.
And that lighter feeling matters because when you feel calm, your brain works better. When you remove shame, understanding improves. So before we talk about what to say, we need to change how you see the moment. Not understanding doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just means the conversation needs a small adjustment. Now, let's talk about the phrases people really use. Not formal English, not perfect sentences, just simple tools to keep the conversation moving. We'll take this slowly. Sometimes you don't need a full sentence. People often use very short signals to say, "I'm listening, but I need a moment." Things like, "Sorry? 1 second."
Those feel almost too small.
But they're powerful. They stop the conversation gently. They don't sound demanding. They don't sound rude. Tone matters more than length. If your voice is calm, these phrases sound polite.
I think I try to be too polite, so I overtalk.
Many learners do. But over-explaining can actually make the moment heavier. Short signals keep it simple. When you need to hear it again, people say, "Sorry, can you say that again? I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that, please?" "I didn't catch that" is very common.
Why does that one sound so natural?
Because it focuses on the moment, not the person. It doesn't say, "You spoke badly," or "I'm bad at English." It just says, "The sound passed." That removes blame.
That makes it feel safer to say.
Exactly. Sometimes the issue is speed. People say, "Could you say that a bit slower?" "Sorry, can you slow down a little?" You don't need to explain more than that.
I always want to explain why.
You don't have to. Most people understand immediately, and if you explain too much, it can increase your stress. Simple is better. If you understood part of the message, you can check. People often say, "Do you mean, so you're saying?" This is very useful.
Because I don't have to admit I understood nothing.
Exactly. You're showing effort. You're also guiding the conversation to clarity. And even if you're slightly wrong, the other person will correct you. That's normal. Sometimes people laugh and you don't know why. You can say, "Sorry, I missed that. I didn't get that part." These are honest and natural.
That feels better than fake laughing.
Much better. Fake reactions create more stress later.
What I notice is none of these phrases are complicated. The difficulty isn't English. It's confidence.
Yes. Confidence comes from knowing you can say something, not from knowing everything.
And knowing that it's okay to pause.
Exactly.
I used to apologize before and after everything.
A lot of people do.
Sorry. Then I speak. Then sorry again.
You're apologizing for being present,
That's what it felt like.
and that adds pressure. You're allowed to take space in a conversation.
That's something I'm still learning.
Let's look at how this sounds in real life. Not as role play, just as moments you recognize. Let's imagine a few real situations. Not performances, just moments you've probably been in before. Someone is explaining something quickly during a meeting. They finish speaking. There's a pause.
This is where I usually panic.
Instead of panicking, you can slow the moment down. You can say, calmly, "Sorry, I didn't catch the last part." That's it. You're not stopping the meeting, you're keeping it clear.
That feels much easier than what I usually do.
Because you're not explaining yourself. You're just adjusting the conversation. Someone tells you a story. They speak fast, they smile, they expect a reaction.
Sometimes I understand the situation, but not the details.
You can say, "Sorry, I missed that part." Or even, "Can you say that again?" People don't mind. They're usually happy to repeat themselves.
I always assume they'd be annoyed.
That assumption causes more stress than the situation itself.
Phone calls are the hardest for me.
For many people. On the phone, you lose facial expressions. You lose context. You can say, "Sorry, the line isn't very clear. Could you repeat that?" This sounds normal. It sounds professional.
It also feels less personal.
Yes, you're blaming the situation, not yourself. You're with friends or coworkers. Someone makes a joke. People laugh.
This is when I fake laugh.
You don't have to. You can say, "Sorry, I didn't get that." That's honest. And often someone will explain it again, more clearly. Here's something important to remember. You don't need perfect English to be respected. You don't need long sentences. You don't need to explain yourself. Short, calm phrases are enough. Pauses are normal. Silence is normal. Clarifying is normal.
Hearing that makes the whole thing feel lighter.
That's because pressure makes understanding harder. When you allow yourself to pause, your brain has space to work. You're not failing when you don't understand. You're participating, and participation is the goal.
That changes how I see these moments. Instead of feeling embarrassed, it feels like I have options.
Exactly. Communication isn't about speed. It's about connection.
So when I don't understand someone, I don't need to freeze, I don't need to pretend, and I don't need to apologize for existing.
You can pause the conversation calmly,
Use short phrases,
ask for repetition or clarity.
and remember that this happens to everyone.
The moment isn't a test. It's just a moment. And once you see it that way, it becomes much easier to handle. If this episode felt familiar, you're not alone.
These are the moments we talk about here.
Everyday conversations, real situations, no pressure.
If you want to keep listening, the next episode continues this idea.
We'll talk about how to ask people to repeat or slow down without feeling awkward.
We're glad you're here.